All right, I think we're in now.
Are we good?
We're only 7 minutes late.
Who cares?
Mostly your fault. I want to point out.
I'm gonna blame my wife.
Yeah, you can.
She
Okay,
didn't come back.
I'm okay blaming your wife.
Okay, she didn't come back in time.
She loves me. So. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 182, your once weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm Steve.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday night. If you have never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, usually some Star Trek. This is a family-friendly show in both language and content, and we do read all super chats on the air so long as they meet the family-friendly criteria. And if you want to take part in the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Discord or Patreon. Floatplane or Patreon, excuse me. Links are down in the video description. If you join either one of those, your bonus is you get access to the Discord server where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all of the hosts from Talking Heads, and join the awesome community over there. Also, if you don't have time to catch us in the live show, this message is useless for you anyway, but think about checking us out on the podcast on Anchor.fm or wherever your favorite podcasts are found.
That was good.
Welcome to the show.
You got that down packed.
It's getting
like
there.
You got that. You got that.
Yeah.
You can turn it into a rap song pretty soon, or speed it up just a little bit.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So,
we just gotta remix it, put a beat to it. We got top 10 right there.
Yeah. I will say I'm very much a creature of habit. A lot of my and a lot of my YouTube videos that I shoot, I workshop them live. Like I'll just turn on the camera and I usually have like an outline of what I want to cover, but I will say the same sentence 5 or 6 or 7 times until it sounds right and the delivery is engaging enough, or it's the right emotion or whatever else. You know, sometimes when I do scripted videos, 100% scripted, I'll just read the teleprompter and I fly through those because it's like you can only read the same sentence like 3 ways, and I need some more emotion from you. Yeah.
You don't have a director. You don't have a live audience.
Yeah.
So there's no real nervousness. I mean, maybe you might get some nervousness. I don't know.
I used to get nervous when I turned the camera on. That long since faded away. I mean, it took longer than I thought it would. But you
didn't have to picture the audience naked or anything like that.
I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, oftentimes I could sit here and practice naked, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
not for this channel.
Yeah.
OnlyFans.
Yeah. You got to subscribe to the OnlyFans for that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to the show, everyone. How you doing this month, Steve?
Yeah, not too bad actually. Did pretty good. Had a bit of a lengthy weekend. Went out and stayed at. I don't know if you probably know. You know Edgefield. I don't know if too many people who know what Edgefield is here in the Pacific Northwest, but it's a pretty nice big open facility. It's an old poor farm / retirement home that's turned into a hotel, and they have like a distillery, a winery, and a brewery all on the facility, as well as a pitch and putt golf course and a theater and a musical venue. Well, there's no musical venues going on now, obviously, but we stayed there this last weekend, had a good time.
Nice.
Fell down, got a little bit of a bruise right there, but
I have a matching one right up here now.
Yeah, it's a good time. Good time. So
I was crawling under my house most of last weekend, doing some maintenance and whatnot. And the last thing that I did was our furnace is actually underneath our house. It's kind of a weird setup. It's hung underneath the rafters in our crawl space between our 2 levels.
So you got a furnace powered by the Fraggle Rock guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Under the house, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'd been under the house maybe 5 hours in total for the entire day. I was sore, I was tired, I was like just ready to be done, and I just needed to replace the filter. And so I unscrew it, take the filter, take the old filter out, set it down, go to grab the new filter, bend over, and I come back up, and there's this like metal girder that supports the furnace, and I cracked my head right on that thing, seeing stars for like an hour. I'm amazed it didn't actually bleed. Like I'm amazed. Because I fully expected when my hand came up and came back down to be covered in blood.
Yeah,
I fully expected that.
that happened to me. Okay, so maybe I should tell the story. Like I have a scar right here. It's kind of hard. Well, you can't see it now. But when I was younger, I think it was probably about 13 at the time, probably. My dad had shown me how to make you get like a tin can, and you punch a small hole at the top of the tin can, and you leave the bottom open, and you get a firecracker, and you put the firecracker in that hole.
Firecracker rocket.
Yeah, and then you put that in water, and then you light the firecracker off, and it goes way up in the air.
Yep.
I thought that was cool, and so me and a bunch of my friends started doing that with a whole pack of firecrackers, and then like, I don't know, somewhere in the middle of the pack, I lit it up, but I put my head directly over it, and it was a short fuse.
Yep.
And it just goes right into my head. And I'm like, oh, I saw stars and everything like that. I'm like, oh, it's just a tin can, whatever. And I'm like rubbing my head, and I look down, I was like, wow, my hand's coated in blood. Yeah. So I'm like staggering back to the house.
That's a lot of blood.
Yeah. And then my mom sees my head, I'm just like blood dripping down my face. I'm like, hey, Mom, freaks out.
Yep.
It was good times. Yeah, good times.
Yep. All right. With all that, what are we drinking tonight, Steve?
Oh, I got, let's see.
On this Cinco de Mayo.
Well, no cervezas today, but I do have a hat.
You do have the hat.
I do have the hat.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a different hat, but I tried to get that one to fit over my headset. It didn't work. So I have from Drink Everybody's Beer, called Aggressively Relaxed Imperial IPA. From Horse and Dragon Brewing, they're in Colorado, I believe. Sad Panda Coffee Stout.
I've seen that one, but I have not had that one.
Yeah, I haven't had this one either. That would be good. And one of the newer ones from Rogue, which I have not had, is the Colossal Clod, which is like, I think, the cousin of Bat Squatch or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've had that one. I'm curious to know what you think about that one.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's their Imperial IPA. I like Rogue.
Yeah.
But I find them kind of hit and miss lately, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I've had a couple from them where I kind of raised an eyebrow lately.
I'm like,
yeah, they're traditionally very solid.
Yeah, and we were talking about what was representative of a beer in Oregon, and we kind of settled on Rogue's IPAs. Right. So I'm expecting it to be. I was gonna drink it. I was gonna bring it, but I forgot. I saw it. It was an IPA it's called Taste Like Oregon. I wanted to get that one.
I definitely need to try that one.
Yeah.
I am also going for a straight up IPA fest today. So my first one, I had to get just because of the name, and that is from Binary Brewing, Ducking Autocorrect.
Oh yes, I saw that one. Yes, that one looks good.
Yep. So yeah, this is a West Coast IPA, straight up West Coast style, 6.8%. From Deschutes Brewery, I went with one of their juicier IPAs. I got a Squeezy Rider IPA.
Oh, I've had that one before. Yep. I like that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have not had this one, but I heard really good things about it.
It's good. It's good.
And to complete the full spectrum of Oregon beers and Oregon IPA styles, I went with a Fort George Magnetic Fields, which is kind of one of their hazy style IPAs. So, so that'll be my finisher. So I think I'm going to go West Coast to juicy to hazy is how I'm going to go tonight.
I have not had that Fort George, although I have really been enjoying their hazies lately. Fort George has just been knocking them out of the park. One of the last ones I had was actually their collaboration, the Friendzine series, which is always their hazy collabs. And it was Great Notion and Fort George. And it was excellent because they both do amazing hazies.
Yes.
And that was a very, very good one. I think I'm going to start out with the Colossal Clod. And I have the Cinco de Mayo themed glass for today. I should have salted the rim, but I didn't.
Excellent choice. Yeah, I didn't have any kind of Mexican lagers at all, or I don't drink Corona.
No.
Yeah. Great. Now we're demonetized because I said Corona.
All right. Well, let's give this one a shot. It kind of reminds me of like the old school West Coast IPAs, but not as aggressive.
It was way thicker than I expected it to be.
Yeah,
it was way thicker.
It's got a full body, a pretty good malt profile, but the hops are not very aggressive.
Right.
It's not like super hoppy.
That's kind of what when I hear Rogue Double IPA, and whatnot. I'm expecting super hop forward, aggressive, grassy, dank, citrusy, the real in your face hops. And this is like the complete inverse of what I it's got a richer malt, it's a little bit sweeter, and you would think with thick.
With this can art, it's got a big old sea monster on it. You would think it's going to be like punchy in the face,
right,
bold or something, but no. It's quite enjoyable. I mean, it's not overly aggressive or anything like that. So if you're an IPA fan and a hazy fan, but you don't like the overly hop stuff, then this is really good. Yeah. I think they tried to make this more of a overall appealing IPA, not like super aggressive, not good balance basically.
Right. Yeah. Meanwhile, this one from Binary Brewing, the ducking autocorrect.
Yes.
Solid.
I'll have to go pick that one up.
Yeah. It actually kind of reminds me of the Claude, but it's because it's on the malty or sweeter side for an IPA, but those hops are not missing.
Oh, good.
Those hops are very present up front.
Is it supposed to be hazy? Because it doesn't look too hazy. It looks pretty clear.
No, this one's just a West Coast.
Oh, good.
It's not clear, but it's not hazy. All right. Let's go ahead and get into our top story, and that is the raging battle between Epic Games and Apple.
That's right.
If you are not familiar with this, you probably should make yourself familiar with this, because
it's an interesting case. Yes.
It's an interesting case that's going to have massive ramifications across digital marketplace industries. So if you don't know, Epic Games sued Apple over Fortnite's placement in Apple's App Store. Basically, Apple requires that anyone who uses the App Store, that is, if you want an application to be installable on iOS or iPadOS, you have to use their App Store.
Yes.
And Apple takes 30%. You also have to every financial transaction that occurs within your application also has to take place through Apple's processing, which means any DLC, any Fortnite bucks, any whatever has to go through Apple. There are zero alternatives to that. Now, this is where it gets a little fuzzy for a lot of people, because Epic Games, their entire lawsuit is based around antitrust. Their entire premise is that Apple owns a monopoly on this ecosystem.
Yes.
Or has a monopoly in general.
Yeah.
Apple is arguing, we don't have a monopoly. You could choose not to play games, or you can choose to play the game on Android, or you could choose to play the game on Xbox, or you could choose to play the game on Steam. And so the fact that you can't buy it on Apple because they didn't want to play by our rules isn't detrimental to the consumer.
Okay.
And so basically we're not fighting about whether or not, well, the root of it is we're fighting about whether or not Epic Games should be forced to have Fortnite be installed through the App Store, or if they could host their own third-party store, or do they have to go through Apple? Yeah. The broader question is, does Apple hold a monopoly over mobile marketplaces?
Yeah, I think the big crux of this is what is defined as a market. Mm-hmm. What do we call a market?
Right.
Is the mobile software considered a market, or is iOS software considered a market?
Right.
Because
we
can. Yeah.
Go ahead.
We have different types, because I think the whole crux of the thing is, and this is why I think Android has a little more protection in this thing, is because Apple created this walled garden that you can't enter it unless you go through them.
Right.
Which kind of makes Epic's argument maybe a little bit stronger. Because I know that there was a Supreme Court case a while ago, I think it was back in the 80s, about Xerox and them forcing people to go through them to do repairs. And then the Supreme Court struck that down, saying you can't do that. That's considered a monopoly in that point, because you're creating a market that only you can fulfill.
Correct.
But
and
like,
hey, look where we at for consumer
yeah,
rights,
and
consumer repair rights now.
Exactly. I know. This case might even dovetail into that, like
It
the right
might.
to repair type stuff.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it still pertains to that. I guess no one's really wanted to, and it's very likely that this case may go up to the Supreme Court to rule on it.
Yeah.
But I also do see Apple's case in this too, where, you know, this is our product, this is our hardware, this is our software. We're owed something, I guess. I don't know. It's
here's the let's go back to the consumer for a second here. I purchased an iPhone.
Right.
That iPhone is mine.
Yes.
I run your
agree
software.
Yes.
But I can do with my hardware what I want to do with my hardware, and that includes things on the software side, so long as I'm not violating DMCA or copyright or encryption or you know, backwards compiling or whatever. As long as I'm following the license agreement of the software, I can do what I want. And the license agreement isn't necessarily the law either. So if the license agreement says you have to go through the App Store to use our product, that may not be an enforceable statement.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You can put whatever you want in a license agreement.
Right. The fact that you can take an iPhone and jailbreak it and put whatever you want on it means that the device itself isn't incapable of doing these things.
Correct.
Obviously. It's that Apple themselves are enforcing it that you can't. Right. I mean, like with an Android phone, you can sideload just about anything you want. And they build that into the operating systems. Like, oh, you guys just turn development mode and just load any APK you want onto your phone. That's fine. There's even third-party app stores. There's independent app stores on Android. You can get, I think Amazon has an app store.
Amazon has one. But this is where it's going to get really tricky. Is what in the mobile space and the consumer electronic space in general constitutes a monopoly.
Exactly.
Because and we are not lawyers. We're just spitballing from the couch right now.
Yeah.
It's going to get really interesting to find out how they define a monopoly in this particular case. Because if they define the market as the mobile space, the mobile phone space, you have multiple mobile phone providers, although they're kind of in cahoots with each other, especially now that T-Mobile and Sprint joined up. You've got multiple phone manufacturers, and so you've got, well, you had LG, but you have Samsung, HTC, Apple, and quite a few others. And then you have operating systems, of which there's only two, and those two operating systems consist of 65 and 35% of their respective markets, with Apple taking up less of the prospective market, but the largest single chunk. So how do you define a market? And inside of that market, how do you define a monopoly? Does Android count as its own market space, or is all mobile phones considered the same market space? Does every manufacturer account for the overall market space, or does each manufacturer, if you consider their pipeline where it's vertical integration, is vertical integration in and of itself a monopoly when it comes to commercializing software?
Well, I remember, I'm old enough to remember when Microsoft got slammed for having IE automatically installed into their operating system for a browser monopoly, because like, hey, it's already installed. Why do I want to download Netscape? Right. You know, because I already have a browser, so why do I need to? Right. And they considered that a monopoly.
Yep. Exactly.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they end up defining this thing, and I can see it going either way. But I think you're right. I think that Epic has the stronger case, possibly. Yeah. But I think it's going to have to come with, you know, how they understand the technology and the terminology and how it all works and everything like that. I mean, who knows? Who knows how it's going to go?
Yep. We do have a couple super chats. One from Reverend, $2. Cracking a Dad Smokes. 420 TDH double IPA from Blackstack.
Oh yeah,
nice. Novella Hub, $5 donation. Nightmares Brewing Blood Eagle Sour Ale, 7.5% from Farmingdale, New York.
That's high for a sour.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
And then Nathan sends over $5. Thank you so much, Nathan. Really wanted to throw some money your way, but what are you drinking? I am drinking from Binary Brewing Ducking Autocorrect West Coast IPA. In the chat, usually as we open them, Skull will, he's one of my mods over there, he will give the beers listed in chat. But thank you very much for buying this beer for me. I appreciate it.
And Skull's drinking a Viking Space Probe. by Stone.
Ooh.
Which a hazy double IPA, which I've not had that by Stone, and usually Stone's really good. So
yeah,
I'm gonna have to look at that one.
Yeah, but yeah. Now the Microsoft case is a little bit different because at the time and still today, Microsoft holds 95% of the operating system space.
It is a huge market share.
And so when you own the entire marketplace, that's when you can constitute a monopoly, and they can see you edging people out from other avenues.
And that was literally, at the time, that was literally the only way people could get onto the internet. Yes. You had to have a laptop or a desktop. Mm-hmm. We didn't have all these Internet of Things out there. We didn't have smartphones or anything like at the time. So that was the only way to connect.
Microsoft got sued for Internet Explorer at a time when dial-up and T1 lines consisted for over 90% of the US internet infrastructure. In fact, internet was not even close to the ubiquitous thing that it is now. It was not even close to even a necessity back then. In fact, doing your business over the internet was kind of seen as very strange. It was seen it was seen as dealing with cryptocurrency as today.
Yeah, as like a real novelty. Yeah,
and only 20 years ago.
And I know. Don't age me.
Sorry, 24 years ago.
And the people who did have access to those T1s were the envy of everybody else. Mm-hmm. And I had one of those. I got at least in my office, anyway, not personally.
We did have double lines for a while, and so we had one system that was virtually always online or always connected and whatnot. Oh, right. And then we have our own phone as well.
They did have a few people that had the ISDN stuff.
Yeah.
Which was
128.
128. That was it's faster than 256.
That's right.
Or 54K. And you didn't have to listen to that screaming.
Yeah. Yep, double shotgun. That's right. Shotgunning modems is what they used to call it.
Shotgunning modem, yes.
Good times. But yeah, so what is a monopoly? And is it the fact that Apple doesn't have to compete in the Android space? Does that qualify them to be a monopoly? Is the fact that you're selling a consumer device with consumer installable applications?
Yeah.
In which case you own a 100% monopoly over your device.
Yeah.
And so that would. If they constitute that Android's a direct competitor and people have the right to choose, maybe not. So it's going to be really interesting to see.
It's going to be really interesting to see, definitely. Because and the whole point that if this is a device that I have, I should have the right to do whatever I want to it. And I guess that's why they can't persecute you for or charge you or anything for jailbreaking a phone.
Well, jailbreaking was found legal, and in fact that did go to a federal judge. And so that's already been pushed quite a ways through.
Right. So I mean, the fact that you can do that and not get in trouble for it, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say.
Although don't tell Sony and Nintendo that you can't get in trouble.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, that's why even though, I guess emulators are completely different than that. But yes, the not jailbreaking, but hacking the
custom firmware on Switch or second OS on your PlayStation 3.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All that fun stuff. Mm-hmm. Yep. Don't tell them about that. Anyway, did you know we have a sponsor for today's video?
Oh, we do.
We do. Talking Heads has officially been sponsored.
Monday.
Today's Talking Heads is brought to you by none other than Linode. Large chunk of my audience watches for the home lab content, but not everyone has the funds to get started or wants to dedicate an entire room in their house for a full server rack. You also have to deal with power and cooling requirements, hardware upgrades and replacements, and the noise that comes from hosting your own data center, like I do out in my garage, especially when the air conditioning is running. Rather than hosting your own personal cloud, let Linode host it for you. If it runs on Linux, it'll run on Linode. That includes most of the software tutorials that I have on my channel, like how to run your own ad blocking and recursive DNS servers, VPN gateways, or your own cloud-based Plex streaming server. Linode makes it simple to deploy and manage your own cloud services, with solutions ranging from a single shared CPU to massive multi-core virtual machines. They even offer dedicated RTX 6000 GPUs for graphic rendering and machine learning. With shared CPU plans starting for as little as $5 per month and scaling up to as high as you want to go, There's no project too big or too small, and you'll find a hosting plan that fits your needs. Visit linode.com/craftcomputing and get a $100 60-day credit just for signing up for a new account, and get your own home lab started today, or host your business site on there, or business commerce. That's linode.com/craftcomputing for a $100 60-day credit, and thank you to Linode for sponsoring today's Talking Heads.
I'm going to use it to catalog my VHS collection.
Yep. You know what? There actually is a web app that you can host yourself that is simply for cataloging. I forget what it's called. So someone call it out, because there's actually one for that.
Oh, is there one?
Yeah, there's a dedicated app for media library organization.
Well, I know there's for media library, but I'm not talking specifically
not
for
digital,
VHS.
like
No, I know. Just like, this is my collection type stuff.
Like it's a Dewey Decimal System for your VHS library.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, nice. What's that? There was that place, I don't know if it's still open now. There was that place in Portland that they specialized in just like rare and obscure.
Oh yeah,
VHS.
That they had VHS and Laserdisc and Betamax and like all of the either old, outdated, or obscure formats. If there was a media that was printed on one of those formats, they had it and you could rent it.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that place. I don't know if they're still around or not, but.
Like the Laserdisc copies of the Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah, like just rare stuff that you just couldn't get anywhere.
Right. Which, by the way, the Laserdisc copies of the Star Wars trilogy is actually the best edition of the non-special edition ever released to the public.
Oh yeah, There's like a lot of. I mean, not that I want to like say hey, pirate stuff, but if you try to look for a copy of Star Wars,
the despecialized
one is the one you want to get. Yeah, much better.
Not that I've seen it, but I hear it's the one to have. Because basically some restoration hobbyist people took the Laserdisc rips of the Star Wars trilogy and color corrected them and upscaled them to 1080p. They also included parts of the special edition, but they cleaned them up and made them match as much as possible. But they also removed a lot of the special edition content, like the giant beast that rears up when they're driving into Mos Eisley that looked like a pile of garbage in 1994. Like it still looked like a pile of garbage.
They recut the Jabba scene, which was dumb. They didn't need to put that back in.
Right.
Didn't need to be there.
Yeah, the rings aren't there from the explosions anymore. That just took everything away from the fireworks.
Yep. Oh yeah. All the stuff I remember as a kid is back again.
Yep. So yeah, if you have to get an edition of Star Wars, the despecialized, totally not pirated edition is the one to get. Anyway.
Oh, Skull's got a perfectly legal copy of the Laserdisc original trilogy. Nice.
Right.
Exactly. But do you have a player though? I don't know.
Right.
Player? I know my brother has a Laserdisc of Aliens.
Yep.
Yeah,
and actually, that's a pretty good segue. I think we're going to jump forward a little bit in the show, and we'll talk about Starlink.
Yes.
So it was kind of a slow news week. We didn't have a lot to go on, so we just kind of put a couple fun ones in here, and a couple that were a couple of weeks old that we just didn't get to in previous shows. One of them was, now you know that yes, Starlink is an ISP. They are still bound by the laws and regulations of the United States and the FCC, and no, you can't just freely pirate content on them.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So apparently, a user who, because one of the, I guess, early adopters, obviously, was wondering if they're going to be tracking downloading pirated content. And so he started downloading some torrents, and a few of them slipped through, but he downloaded something from, I think it was
CBS.
CBS, and he got a little bit of a warning.
Little love note from the Starlink team. Please don't download illegal content over Starlink, or you could be subject to fines, legal action from the content providers, or have your service terminated.
Right.
Yeah. As if that wasn't apparently obvious to everyone.
No. But just so you know,
pirating is bad, okay?
It is still an ISP. I know it's a new technology, and it still seems like a new frontier in internet connectivity, but you're still liable to internet copyright laws.
Yes.
I'm not saying you can't use a VPN. You do whatever you want to do, but
you could totally obscure your traffic by using a VPN, or individual services by using a VPN gateway.
Yep.
Like I've given a tutorial on.
Yeah. course. Goes everywhere.
Not that you should use it for piracy, because piracy is bad, okay?
Copyright reaches into low Earth orbit too. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
At least you go to the moon.
Copyright goes at least 60 miles up, remember
that. And you go up to the moon, it's probably okay to pirate stuff at that point.
Mm-hmm. All right. Who's ready for some bad news?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It seems like every time I'm the host or co-host,
we're extending that window out further and further.
I know. Every time
that light at the end of the tunnel is getting further and further away.
I'm always the bearer of bad news.
I know.
When I'm on, I don't know what it is.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Next time I'll try to have good news for you on the show.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll try.
That's good. Much better.
So Intel CEO was recently interviewed in a where did he interview with? I forget. I had to get this. South China Morning Post.
Yeah,
is where this was at.
That's where I always go for my news. Is South
right.
China.
Intel CEO says the chip shortage that is facing basically every global chip provider and OEM manufacturer and designer will last at least a couple more years. Okay. To be fair, though, it's indicative of the industry as a whole. Yes.
But this particular one was related to car chips, silicon for cars.
Yes.
But because
Intel 7 nanometer fabs haven't exactly been groundbreaking
either. No, not exactly. Yeah. This affects just about everybody. So.
Yeah. This article was relating specifically to automotive semiconductors. So all of the integrated electronics and ECUs and even infotainment systems inside of cars. Yeah. Those have been in just as much of a shortage as graphics cards and CPUs have. That in fact, TSMC is one of the major manufacturers for automotive system on chip processors. Yeah. And they've been working on fulfilling those orders more than they've been working on fulfilling AMD and Nvidia and everything else. And so it's not that the orders aren't there, and it's not that the demand isn't there. It's just TSMC and Global Foundries and all the rest literally just can't crank chips out fast enough right now. Yeah. For a litany of reasons, which we've gone over here on the channel before, but it's just one more issue that means your graphics cards are going to be more expensive for a while. Oh yeah, for a while now. So although this is bad news, and there's something that we didn't post, and I was just kind of reading about it actually before we came on, and we didn't post it as a really news story, but it kind of relates to this. Now, the video cards are highly in demand mainly because miners are back, right? The cryptocurrency miners are back. It's both, because the PC market also wants them too. Yes, exactly. It's a double-edged sword right there, right? But of course, the unscrupulous crypto miners are like just sucking them up like no one's business. Yep. Yeah. But they're apparently mining it for Ethereum, not Bitcoin this time. Yes. But supposedly this July, there's supposed to be a rule change for Ethereum that should detract miners, where because I guess with Ethereum, every transaction could be fulfilled by a miner, and then the miner will then take up proceeds of that transaction, a percentage of that transaction. Well, I guess they're going to change that so that it gets reduced, it gets bidded upon. So therefore, it's not, because I guess it was an auction, and then now it's being bid upon, and then now it's going to be like open market for it. I can't remember exactly how it works. I'm not well versed in it, but regardless of which, the change is supposed to help with miners not wanting to. It's supposed to translate to miners not wanting to buy as many video cards. Is basically what it's supposed to be. That's part of it. Here's the flip side of that coin, though. Is that the last time GPUs were unavailable for a very short time, it was end of 2018, and we thought the world was falling then. Right. Welcome to 2020. We thought the world was falling then for like 4 months because graphics cards weren't on shelves, and I went to Fry's, and Fry's was charging $800 for a GTX 1080, which should have been $499 at the time. I wonder why they went out of business. But there was a ton of demand, and a lot of it was for miners, and that demand lasted about 3 or 4 months. And when the demand finally went down, and this was both for Ethereum and Bitcoin, people were mining for both. All of a sudden, it wasn't economically viable to mine those cryptos anymore.
Right.
And there wasn't any other crypto that was expected to make any kind of leaps or any kind of gains. And so the miners ended up dumping their graphics cards to recoup extra revenue.
Right.
The problem this time around, though, that I've heard is, even with this rule change with Ethereum, even with this change in algorithm, they'll just switch over to mining Doge, and then they'll switch over to mining the next, and then they'll switch over to mining the next.
Could be.
As long as there's something on the rise and worth getting in on. Right. Because there's so many more currencies right now, and there's so many more that are starting to become relevant.
Yeah.
At the time, in 2018, it was Bitcoin and it was Ethereum, and Ethereum was a glimmer in people's eye. It wasn't the number 2 juggernaut that it is today. So the problem today is, even when Ethereum changes up and is no longer viable to mine,
it could still go to the next.
There's 15 other coins waiting in line.
Exactly. Oh, there's more than 15. There's a ton of them out there. Yeah. No, I think you're right. I mean, who knows? It could help. It could give a pause in the market long enough that maybe some consumers can actually buy some cards. I don't know. Because you're right. I mean, like Bitcoin has a ceiling, right? There's only so many that they can mine, and then it comes to a point where it becomes economically inviable. You can't put enough power into it. Doesn't make sense.
Right.
Where I think Ethereum is different, where you can mine the transaction. So that's why a lot of people were doing it. It doesn't necessarily you can make money mining transactions as opposed to mining new coins. But I guess the rule change is supposed to alleviate that. Right. I didn't get a chance to read it too much. I didn't really understand it too well, but that was the gist that I got of it.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. They could just move on to the next one.
Yeah, and they might even do a reverse hodl where they go, you know what? Nothing's really big, but we'll take a look at the market, and if another one jumps up in the next 3 months, tell you what, we're not going to sell our cards. We'll just kind of hold on them for a while, and then fire them back up when the next coin becomes viable.
Yeah.
So
who knows?
Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry. If I controlled the market, you all would get 3090s. At least the opportunity to buy them at retail price.
Yeah,
I can say
at least the opportunities. Yeah. I mean, I would settle for a 3070.
Yeah.
At this point, but you can't even get them at MSRP anywhere.
No.
Nowhere.
No.
I've given up.
I paid a $750 markup to get my 6900 XT.
That's
$750.
I mean, I'm still okay. I'm kind of like getting into like the what do they call it? Like I'm gonna go back and just finish my old library of stuff that I never finished.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a 1070, which is kind of in that weird slot that the RX 580 was for a number of years, where it's a good enough card where it'll run anything.
Yeah.
But you also have to be very choosy about which settings you enable.
Right. Yes. No, I mean, I could play, the Cyberpunk or whatever, but I got to dial it back a little bit. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to go play some of the older games I never got to play. I'll crank up the settings as high as they go, and it'll still look great. And, that should last me, hopefully, until, the market comes back down.
Yep. Hopefully.
It's going to be a patient gamer. I'll be a patient gamer.
Yeah. I even have family starting to ask me if I have any GPUs now.
I get a lot of friends that are like, some of the games I want to play, they're starting pretty laggy. So you got any? You don't have any deals that are like, what kind of video cards? I'm like, don't even think about it. Don't even think about it right now.
Yeah. No, can you build me a budget PC? Yeah, if you don't want to play games.
Do you want to play Terraria for the next year and a half?
I got a Vega 8. What do you got? No, sorry, we can't even get APUs. Yeah. But no, I don't sell cards. I just, as a rule, I don't sell cards. I don't sell CPUs because I never know when I might need that particular one again.
Right.
And it's come up where something's come out and I've wanted to test something, or hey, is the GTX 1060 3 gig still a viable card to keep in 2020?
I should go see if my 8800 GTX 8800 is like gone up in price.
Those ones haven't as much.
No, I wouldn't think that they would have. But I mean, I still have it laying around. I'm just
What it really pains me when I see some of my old graphics cards being sold on the vintage market now. It's like, oh, 9800 GTX. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
2008 wasn't that long. Okay,
it was. Doesn't seem like it.
Doesn't feel like it.
No.
Right. Married 15 years now. Anyway, of all my friends, you're the one who's been married. You're the only one who's been married longer than I have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I've been married longer than most people I know, actually.
Yeah.
I'm surprised my wife puts up with me. I don't know.
Honestly, so am I.
Well, we both like to drink, so you put up with a lot of our own crap. So
yeah. Yep. All right. Moving right along.
Yeah.
Apparently it wasn't Microsoft we needed to worry about. It was Sony, but this is probably the best outcome of the last couple of weeks that anyone could have imagined. And that is...
Especially for Discord.
Especially for Discord. And that is that Discord is not selling. In fact, Sony has invested in them in a partnership deal and will be integrating Discord into their Sony PlayStation consoles.
Yeah.
Discord remains independent. And in fact, Discord was looking at a rumored initial public offering to go public. And this infusion of cash certainly helps things out.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And then being integrated in Sony, it's only going to help things. If they're going to be an IPO, that's definitely going to help things.
Right.
So if you have some ins in the stock market, you can get, day one.
May not be a bad idea. We are not providing financial advice.
No, none at all.
I want to be.
We're not lawyers.
I'm holding the beer while I'm telling you what to do with your money. That should be obvious enough.
Yes. Yeah. Don't take financial advice by people who are drinking beer at the same time as
here.
They're giving it. Yes, exactly.
Right. I don't have any money in stocks.
I mean, I have some, but it's not. It's okay. It's not going anywhere.
Yep. I'll eventually move some money there, but
I bought some Dogecoin a while ago, and it's doing pretty good now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
There was a number that came out, something like if you bought like $500 in Dogecoin last July, that'd be worth 20,000 today. It's like,
oh yeah. Well, this was just, I just bought $100 like early last year, or late last year, I should say. And it's up to like, it's up to like $800. Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad for spending $100 to get 800 out of it.
Nice.
Whatever.
Next story. I cannot wait for the next couple of weeks because mine should be here soon.
Oh, you ordered?
I did. I ordered. Cool. I ordered on day one.
Oh, you did, huh?
I did. I couldn't resist. I had to. So I am talking about the GPD Wen 3 has actually cropped up for pre-order on Amazon, starting at $1,130 for the i5 model, and I think $1,350 for the i7 model. Features Rocket Lake mobile CPU, a 720p screen, in a form factor that's almost exactly on point with the Nintendo Switch with a 5.5-inch LCD. It does have a sliding screen with a full touch keyboard underneath. I'm not a huge fan of the revision from a mechanical keyboard to a touch keyboard, although we all kind of adapted when iPhone came out with a full touch screen system, and that's what we use every day now, so I can't really say that I love it or hate it. But as a gaming console first, and really not a productivity machine, I have nothing against the keyboard, and in fact, I'm happy it's there. So occasionally, if I need to hit like F10 in StarCraft or something like that, I can.
Well, yeah, the nice thing about that is like games that are not fully controller integrated, you can still work around that. You can still make it work.
Right.
And I mean, yeah, you probably don't want to do WASD on that keyboard, but you
No.
for chat features, you want to play, want to do, an MMO that's got some control integration and do better typing. That's
Right.
perfectly fine. Yeah. Or anything where you want to type to somebody else, that's perfectly fine.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what it's there for. But
yeah,
Rocket Lake mobile CPU, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 1 terabyte SSD stock. Like, that's what it comes with. Freaking insane. Now, I did buy it on the Indiegogo. I bought it day one on Indiegogo, and so I should be in the very first batch shipment. It was $9.49 for me, and that included the dock.
Well, that's not bad, because it's being listed a lot more on Amazon right now. So
it's being listed for almost almost $400 more for the model that I got, and that doesn't include the dock. The dock's another like $60 or $70.
Yeah, it's a little bit higher, so you get the dock with it.
Yeah,
which is nice.
Yeah, that was an add-on for me too. It was $50 for the dock, and I think $8.99 for the console.
But I think the dock now is even that's higher too.
I think that's
like 89.
89. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was 89 now.
But yeah,
or 85, I should say. There it goes. 85. I just looked.
But yeah, I can't wait. I so want to try this thing. I've watched.
Well, what are you gonna play on it? What are you gonna do first on the thing? For handheld gaming, I love retro gaming, and the problem with a lot of retro gaming is there hasn't really been a handheld that can do PlayStation 2, or even Nintendo 64 has been really hit or miss for a lot of things. On the GPD Win 1, it played just fine. GPD Win 2, it played just fine. But this console with the Rocket Lake architecture and Intel Z graphics, Xe graphics, it has the potential to play AAA titles, and they have a number of them playing at 720p at 60 FPS, and so that's not bad.
I mean, look at the image. It's cyberpunk.
Yeah. Well, that could be Photoshop, you never know, but if it looks like it could play it, probably potentially.
But no, I've seen some early benchmarks that it actually does play.
Oh, good.
And so I'm not sure what I'm going to start off with. Recently, I've been making my way back through Wind Waker.
Oh yeah.
So I might finish up my Wind Waker campaign on the handheld. That would actually be a lot more convenient, because
When anybody says they're finishing up Wind Waker, I guarantee you they're on the boat just like exploring.
Oh, totally.
Because that's like 90% of the game. That was the last Zelda I actually finished, was Wind Waker, and it took me forever.
I did Twilight Princess, and I got about halfway through Skyward Sword and kind of went meh, and then I did play the entirety of Breath of the Wild. I did beat that one. So I'm going back through Wind Waker now, and I would like to go back through Breath of the Wild. I started a couple new Breath of the Wild campaigns, and they kind of just petered out. But I would like to really dive into Breath of the Wild and give it like a 100% playthrough, because I think that would be a fun time. I
started Breath of the Wild 2 on emulation just to check it out, and I did it when it first came out, and so there's still some glitchiness in there. So I might go back and try that too. But yeah, we got options. I can't get a new video card, can't play the latest at full scale, but I can go back and play some other things I haven't had a chance to get to. So
Yep. What's the new game all the kids are playing these days? That's someone give me an idea.
The kids are playing Fortnite still.
Oh crap.
And Among Us, I think, is still pretty popular right now.
Well, apparently no one's playing Overwatch anymore, because Blizzard's having a hell of a year.
Yeah, no one is. I mean, I went back and played Overwatch a couple weeks ago, and I still had fun. I never got super into Overwatch, but every time I went back and played it, I had fun.
I did too. I played Overwatch a little bit, not a ton, just enough to understand the game. But yeah, and that's the thing is I don't really have my eyes on a game right now that's like either a demanding game that I have to play, or there's a lot of older games that I need to go through.
Well, Cyberpunk was the last big one that was supposed to be released, and everyone was supposed to be excited about and do it, and that kind of fizzled out.
I put a good number of hours into that.
Yeah. Okay. Did you finish it or?
I did finish it. Yes.
Okay,
I finished the main campaign. Won't spoil anything, but
no, I haven't got a chance to. I haven't even finished Witcher 3.
Yeah, neither have I.
So okay. Well, then maybe you can go back and try that one.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody says it's great, but no, you didn't like it. Couldn't get into it.
Yeah, how do I put this where the internet won't hate me? Well, everyone hates CD Projekt Red right now because apparently they're the devil. And
you know what? It doesn't really matter. Everybody loved Last of Us, and everyone was ranting and raving about Last of Us, and I played it, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, I didn't like that one either. I know when The Witcher came out, it was done by a very small team in a startup in CD Projekt Red.
I was there.
I was there. Right.
I was there.
I played The Witcher. I hated the physics and the gameplay of it. Like story-wise, it was pretty darn good. It was on point.
Yeah.
But the overall gameplay, which in my mind, even in the presence of a good story, still has to hold up. Which is why I hate Tomb Raider.
Right.
Because it's a press the button during a cutscene-inator. And there's no point to half of the gameplay. It's like scale a wall by holding X, and all you do is it's a quick time event. Yeah. And that type of gameplay is annoying to me. You can have quick time type events, like I think Just Cause did a pretty good job with the helicopter jacking game.
But that was for capturing
specific interactions.
The specific interaction. It wasn't something that was integral to the game to advance you forward.
Right.
It was just something that you would do to get in a helicopter.
Right.
Or you could do to take over a helicopter.
But fire up Shadow of the Tomb Raider and you walk Laura to specific positions around this thing, and it says press X to take picture, and she goes, yeah. It's like, this could be a movie. Why am I even here? Yeah. So I don't have games like Mass Effect Remastered. There we go.
There you go.
That's what's going on there. That'll be the first one. Yep. How about Detroit Become Human? Love the story in that game. I never played that one.
Those are all QTEs, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't a lot of those just QTEs?
Yeah.
QTEs. I mean, it's. I haven't played those in a long time because I think the first one from that company was Fahrenheit, and I remember playing that one a long time ago. And it was just basically story, decision making, and QTE was the gist of the gameplay. Which, if it's an interesting story, I don't mind so much. I mean, a lot of the Walking Dead games were basically story-driven QTEs and decision making too.
Right.
But they can still be enthralling and interesting. Not much replayability because even though they give you the illusion of choice. The outcome is still always the same, right?
And it's not that I dislike all QTE games. Like Firewatch, I thought was great because it was a great environment, great visual art style, and it was a compelling enough story where you felt you were in a story rather than a story with an action game kind of half crammed into it. Yeah. And for them to go fully that direction, I thought it was great. I loved the gameplay, and I loved the mystery, and I loved some of the things that you had to do. But then I look at, like I said, Tomb Raider is one of my, just like, I don't understand it. Like, it's pretty. It's a great benchmark title.
Yeah.
I can't imagine myself playing it beginning to end. I'm not going to spend 15 hours on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the latest one was Shadow, right?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played that one.
Yeah, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Yeah, there was the Tomb Raider reboot, which was like 2014. Then there was Rise of the Tomb Raider, and then Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
I did the reboot and the second one after that, and that was, I haven't done the latest one. But I hear that the latest one is kind of like you said. It just seems kind of on autopilot.
Yeah,
just click a button and it's press a button to win type of game.
It very much is. Yeah, I mean, you have a couple of minor combat things, but they're all very clunky in their implementation. And like I said, it's press button, do this. And it's not even the button that you wanted to press. It was, this is the visual story that we had in mind as the storytellers. And we're just going to play a movie for you, and you're going to press buttons and pretend you're playing a video game.
Right.
Hate
And
that style.
that's kind of what I thought. Well, I know that like Last of Us had a little more gameplay involved with it, but I couldn't stand the mechanics behind the gameplay. I thought it didn't feel good. The story was compelling, and that's kind of what drove me forward. But I ended up just like quitting almost towards the end because I just couldn't stand it anymore, and I just ended up watching the rest of it on YouTube.
Yep.
Just to figure out what the story was, and so I'm like, it is what it is.
Yep. Speaking of gaming, a gaming generation is crying out in terror before they are suddenly silenced, and that is anyone who's a fan of Flash games, Flash animations. Microsoft this week announced that they are putting the final nail into Flash's coffin. And this summer, as of the July update, Flash will be mandatorily removed from Windows 10.
That's correct. So now apparently I thought this was like going to take away Flash in general. If you try to install it again, it will just be automatically removed. No, that's not the case. You can, I guess if there's a third-party installer where you put it on there, you can still have your downloaded Flash games and still play it.
Right.
But it's the integrated Flash that Windows had that's being completely removed.
Yes.
So you can still enjoy some of your downloaded games if you have the old third-party Adobe installer. But any kind of like Windows integration is completely gone. So I don't know. Did you have a favorite Flash game?
I was kind of, See, I remember Flash when they were Macromedia.
Yes, I do remember that too.
Right.
I do.
There were some early Macromedia animations and games that were pretty good. Like I didn't come up in the cool math games generation. I'm solidly before that. I came up in the Frog in a Blender and Elf Bowling. What was
I remember Elf Bowling.
There was also a series of games that came out with Independence Day action figures from the movie.
Oh yeah, that's
where they were Flash-based games, and so your action figure came with a floppy disk with one of like 6 games on it. I've never been able to find those games, and they were just executables for, I think they were for Macintosh.
Well, there is actually in this article, because I actually read the thing, and there is a archived Flash emulator for games. And in it I did find my favorite Flash game, which was someone had made a video game based on the movie The Room with Tommy Wiseau. I don't know if did you ever watch that?
The Room.
The Room.
I don't think I did.
Come on. You've never seen The Room? The worst movie of all time? Almost.
No.
I wouldn't call it the worst movie of all time, but it's like hilariously bad. It's like one of those so bad it's good movie.
Yeah.
You know, oh hi Mark. You know that.
That game. Yeah. Okay.
That one. Yeah. Steve actually has read the thing. It says a lot. Yeah. So there is a emulated Flash archive, so you can go there and search it and find your old favorite Flash archive games, and it's there. And I found The Room there, and I was happy because I remember playing through that and just laughing because I thought it was really well done.
Yeah.
For being just something somebody made for the fun of it. And it was actually kind of funny today on the Discord. Somebody was they had mentioned didn't even have anything to do with Flash. Someone had mentioned Trogdor from the old Homestar Runner Flash stuff. And then someone else goes, well, what's Trogdor? They never heard of Trogdor before.
Yeah. So here's what I'm talking about. This is the Independence Day mission disc. There were 6 of them available. Yes. And they came with action figures and play sets for Independence Day.
Nice.
And I had a couple of these discs, and they were point and click, and like there's one outcome only. Like there was like launching the alien spaceship, and there was dissecting the alien, and then there was something else with the planes, the FA-18s. But yeah, that was a whole thing. And those were based on Macromedia Flash.
Yeah. Macromedia. Man, oh yeah, back in the day. I think Macromedia did they didn't do just Flash, they also did Firework too, I think, which was their like web editing software.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. All right, or maybe it was their HTML editor. I couldn't remember. But I know that Adobe took that.
Apparently, there were 10 discs. Sorry, I'm getting wholly distracted.
You're going into a whole hole of Independence Day.
Oh yeah.
Flash video games. Are they worth anything? They're not rare, are they?
They're not. Well, they're kind of rare because there weren't very many of them made, but they're not valuable because no one cares.
Yeah, no one wants
it. But they're just like one of those things, like obscure. They're for a 386 PC, for crying out loud. That's your minimum spec.
Yeah.
Windows 3.1 and an i386 or faster CPU.
Right.
Those are your specs.
Yeah. Dreamweaver, that's what it was. Dreamweaver, yeah.
Yeah.
Dreamweaver.
Yep. So, anyway, I'm on the lookout for some of those discs. I think they'd be fun to have. They're not that expensive on eBay. I might just buy a couple of them, just to have them.
Yep.
But yeah, Macromedia, your days are numbered.
Yeah.
If you didn't already know, walking the red mile.
Macromedia is, you mean Flash?
Flash.
Macromedia has been gone for a long time.
You know what I meant.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna open up the sad panda.
All right, perfect timing because I'm opening up my Deschutes Squeezy Rider IPA.
All right.
At least I'm assuming this is a juicy IPA based on the Squeezy name.
Well, they can say what they want, but
yeah, and they often do.
Oh, this one smells. Right when I opened it up, I can smell the coffee coming out of this thing.
Floral.
Does smell like a
floral.
Roasty. Oh man, that's heavy with coffee. That's really good.
Wow.
So there was somebody in the chat that I saw that they are close to this brewery, Fort Collins. Horse and Dragon. It's good. It's really good. I enjoy this stuff. If I'm ever near Fort Collins, I'll have to go check them out. This is really tasty.
Rod says, funny, I just refurbished a Packard Bell 486. I worked on a number of Packard Bell Pentium 190s.
Oh, yeah.
Like Pentium 1 90 megahertz. Yeah.
I remember, when our dads used to buy classic cars and refurbish them.
Mm-hmm.
Now we buy old 486s and I'm gonna refurbish this old 486. I got the Hot Wheels 486.
It's only 3 more years.
I'm gonna refurbish it.
It's only 3 more years, and my 350Z is officially a classic car.
That's true. Yeah,
it's a 2004. Yeah. So, let's see. Let's get into some seltzer news.
Oh yeah,
some hot seltzer news. Here we go.
Seltzer.
New Holland Brewing of Dragon's Milk fame is creating their own hard seltzer, but it's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
Oh no, we are going full New Holland on this one.
Yes.
This is a bourbon barrel aged seltzer.
Right.
And from what I hear, and not just from this article, but I've also heard secondhand, it's not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to try it.
I totally want to try it.
And of course, people who don't know, New Holland is the same brewers that make one of our favorite beers, is the Dragon's Milk.
Dragon's Milk Stout. Yep.
Yeah, Dragon's Milk is delicious, and they sell it. They sell the Dragon's Milk pretty much all over, I think. Mm-hmm. But they do have some specialty flavors that they don't distribute as much.
Yeah, and Skull likes to rub our nose in that one.
Yes, I know. But this is the hard seltzer version.
Yep.
Of their bourbon barrel aged, and I for one hope they bring it out here because I wouldn't mind trying it. I'm not big on the hard seltzer, but I'd definitely try this one.
I would definitely try it. So there's a cherry, an original, a blackberry, and an orange. The original being essentially a little bit of malted alcohol and bourbon barrel aged and then carbonized. Or carbonated, excuse me.
Yeah.
And so apparently it drinks a lot like a whiskey. But 4.6% in bubbly.
Yeah, that's what they said. They say that there's the cherry and the berry flavor are the most balanced. Yeah. They say that the orange one not so much, but there was the just the bourbon barrel. I think the original is what they call it. They say it just tastes like a bourbon and water. It's like a light bourbon. Which, you know, if you like that bourbon flavor and you don't want to like just get totally smashed,
I found an abandonware list for all 10 discs.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Now we're going back to Flash.
That's right. I know what I'm playing tomorrow. Oh, this is the one that I had too. I pulled up randomly one of them, and it was number 7, and it is like a Counter-Strike game with you're President Whitmore and you're on a laptop and you're like looking at the nuclear strikes as they're happening.
Oh, so is it kind of like Missile Command or something like that?
It's not really Missile Command. It's trying to keep up with the alien attacks, and yeah, it's weird. It's not an action game.
I want to get the one where you can hack the alien spaceship with an old Apple computer.
Yeah.
Upload a virus by doing a little hello world code.
Yep.
You know,
I'm happy I found him. Cool.
They should have put in the latest the latest Independence Day movie, instead of like uploading a virus to the aliens to crash, they should just uploaded Flash.
Yeah,
to their mothership, and then it would just, and then the thing just
elf baby. Yeah, all of a sudden their systems are just flooded with.
They just get like spam all over. They can't nuke Earth because they're getting inundated with
Viagra
pop-ups.
Canadian and
they
Canadian pharmacies.
Everywhere, yeah.
Oh, that's awful.
That would have made that movie 100 times better.
Yeah,
if they went there.
Yeah, Independence Day mission discs from 1996.
Yeah.
Yep, there they are. Oh, there's 11 of them.
Okay. 11 of them.
Yeah.
Now, is this a downloadable site, or is this like a place that's selling them?
It's a downloadable site. Allegedly.
Okay, so you can allegedly. Yeah.
But yeah, they have all 11 on one catalog. I'm gonna go ahead and share that in the Discord, just for fun. It'll be on holodeck.
All right, there we go.
There we go. Now, if you are in the Discord, you can get access to that download. Joining the Discord's only $1 a month via Patreon or Float Plane. Links are down in the video description, and you help me keep the lights on around here.
Now, is there any instruction that says it's going to work on Windows 10?
Highly unlikely, because these are 16-bit applications for Windows 3X.
Oh God! So you have to get crank in a VM or something like that.
You can run a DOSBox image. So
there you go.
I keep a DOSBox install of Windows 3.11 with some vintage applications on it as well, just for fun. I like to tinker with that stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometime this year, I will be finally building my retro PC. I have a Pentium 1 retro PC that I'm looking to put together. Mm-hmm. It's a fairly compact box. And I'm looking to do it right with a full CRT and everything.
You gonna do a Pentium Pro or a Pentium 1 or
Pentium 1? Pentium 1. No, I considered Pentium Pro, but I wanted to go Pentium 1.
Okay.
So
I do still have a Pentium Pro chip laying around somewhere. If you want.
I do. Boy, it's tempting. Like I've thought about getting like a dual Pentium Pro system before.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. Those do exist. Yes.
Yeah.
That was the dream system back in the day.
Oh, I know. Run your DOSBox image on Linode. Actually, you probably could. There is an instance of DOSBox that you can run on an Apache web server, and so you could totally cloud host. You know what? I've been doing this whole thing wrong. Instead of a cloud gaming system, I just need to cloud host a bunch of old DOS games. Mm-hmm. That's what I should have done.
There's a lot of places that do the cloud emulation and stuff like that.
Yeah, archive.org. does a lot of cloud emulation of even games that are copyrighted. They say, well, we'll allow people to play them, and they kind of get around that. So
yeah,
like they can't download it, but they can play our copy.
But they can play it. They can play a copy of it. Yeah,
right.
Which I think I don't even know if they have like cookie saving or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, when I emulate a game, I will play it for a good hour or two and then be like,
okay, I got the
gist. I'm done. Yeah, I'm not gonna go back and finish it. This is good. This is kind of satiated my curiosity and nostalgia. It's tickled that nostalgia bone enough. I'm done with this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I did miss a super chat. East Coast Mods. Jeff spends excuse me. Jeff spends more on eBay, Amazon, and Alley than he does on his wife and beer. LOL. Yes. No other way to put that.
Yeah. You are correct, sir.
Yes. Moving on. Oh. I missed some stories on the notes here.
Did we?
I did.
You did?
Yeah. But that's okay. I just forgot to put a couple up on my web browser up here, so I didn't have any imagery ready for them.
Oh, okay. All right.
Let's see. John, in the worst possible website ever, he linked us a dailymall.co.
Oh yeah. Oh god, I always hate
Daily Mail.
Daily Mail.
Yeah.
Oh, with their sidebar of like tabloid.
I don't even know that I
side.
want. I'm not going to show the article. It's on there. You can click on it if you want. You know what? I'm just going to click on the image itself. There we go. That'll be fine. So the Queen.
Not the Zerg Queen or the Queen of Hearts, or it's the Queen.
Yeah.
The Queen. Yeah.
Hey, you speak nice to Kerrigan. Dang it. Like 6 people got that joke.
Yeah, I know. I did say Zerg Queen.
So the Queen has launched a £3.99 bitter and golden IPA made using organic barley from Sandringham Estate. And you can get a 500 milliliter bottle.
Yeah.
If you want to drink what the Queen recommends.
That's that. She gave that to Prince Philip before he died.
Yeah.
She was like, "Hey, try this."
Yeah.
And then that was it.
That's harsh. Oh.
That was his last words. He says, "Oh dear, this is pretty good. It's not half bad."
It's a bit too malt forward for my liking.
That's a lot of hops in there, dear. Whatever.
You're awful. You're awful. You bring out the worst in me. That's the problem.
That's why I'm here.
That's why you're here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The Queen officially has her own beer, and you can pick it up for £3.99.
All right. Well, we do have connections in London. We can go talk to the folks at eTechnics. See if they can send us some.
It's true.
Yeah.
If we really wanted some.
Really wanted some.
Although based on his previous recommendations, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, Andy. The oldest known whiskey to man will be up for auction soon.
Yeah.
So friends of the channel, I have a P.O. box. It is listed down below. Mm-hmm. Just put that as your mailing address when you win this particular bottle. Bids are only expected to fall between $20,000 and $40,000 for this one-of-a-kind bottle. Bottled in LaGrange, Georgia. The old Ingledew, there we go. Old Ingledew whiskey.
Ingledew, yeah.
Right.
Humperdinck.
Is believed to be the oldest bottle of whiskey in existence.
Yes.
Bidding will go online June 22nd through 30th, and as I said, is expected to sell for between $20,000 and $40,000. Carbon dating put this somewhere between 1762 and 1802. So at minimum, you're getting a 219-year aged whiskey.
Yeah. At minimum. You just know that Bill Gates is going to buy this and drink this alone by himself. He's just like, I'm divorced now. It's a sad divorce drink.
It's so hard to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's like Melinda can't get half of this.
Yep. So this bottle has an entire lifespan or life history. It's thought to be the only surviving bottle from a trio from the cellar of J.P. Morgan, gifted in the 1940s to Washington Power elite. Financier John Pierpont Morgan reportedly bought the bottle during one of his frequent visits to Georgia. He then, it is said, believed to have been bottled in the Grange in the 1860s. So it was already a 60-year whiskey when it was put into a bottle.
Yeah.
Right.
That's pretty crazy.
Later gifted the bottle up for auction to James Burns of South Carolina, and the two sister bottles to Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Oh my God.
A distant cousin to Morgan, and Harry S. Truman in the early 1940s. So he gave one bottle to each of the sitting presidents during that time that he bought those three bottles.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Is that why they shot Grover Cleveland? Boy,
might have been. While this is the oldest known bottle of whiskey, it's nowhere near the most expensive. In 2019, a Macallan Fine, rare 60-year-old 1926, was auctioned online and sold for $1.9 million.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
1.9 million.
Yep. Yep. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to pay my mortgage.
Well, I was gonna say, get all friendly with Bill Gates there, and maybe you can have a sip.
Mm-hmm. There was an Ask Reddit post this week about how are you going to seduce Bill Gates? Now that he's back on the market.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. This news I am fairly excited for. And it's rare that I get excited for a re-release of a game, especially from Nintendo, because they often don't do them justice. They often just literally re-release the game for a new platform. I'm hoping this one ends up being a little bit different, though, and I have a reasoning behind that. So, it is rumored that The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask will be coming to the Nintendo Switch later this year. Now, on the face of it, we kind of go,
Yeah.
Like,
it gets released, though, yeah.
Yeah. It's available on every other Nintendo platform already. You can download it from the eShop. It's not that big of a deal. Like, I have it on the Wii. I have it on the N64. We've been able to emulate it since it was almost new. Like, this is... Who hasn't played this game? But if you do recall, Nintendo introduced a minor remaster to this game for the 3DS. So the 3DS version ran at 480p, but had all new textures, all new high polygon counts.
It looks much better upscaled.
There were also some quality of life improvements to the game, such as moving the hover boots and steel boots to a button press rather than an equipable item. So you didn't have to leave the game to equip and de-equip your boots. And a couple other nice things as well. They also had the Master Quest on there, so you could play the Master Quest alongside the original storyline. I'm hoping that we end up getting the 3DS re-release with 1080p support, because that would be incredible.
That would be something, because actually
that would be something I would pay for.
The Ocarina of Time is one of those that I never really got into.
Really?
When the N64 came out. And I've always wanted to go back because it's always been ranted and raved about as being like just one of the better ones. And I never went into it.
It's a great Zelda.
So I've always wanted to get back into it. And this might be a good opportunity just to give it a shot once it gets put out there.
And I will say, compared to a lot of games from that era, the early 3D generation era, especially console early 3D, it actually holds up fairly well. Graphically, it does okay. Like, it's not great,
right?
But it has a certain charm to it, and it's not terrible either. Because there's some 3D from those days, and I'm thinking specifically of like face models on like oh gosh, let's go from the same generation. Let's say Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight and in-game face models of humans.
Oh,
they're awful.
Not just face models in general. I'm just talking about
just polygon counts.
Well, not even that. I'm just talking 3D in general was such a new thing for developers to put into that. Camera placement and movement and jumping in a 3D environment was a real slog. It was just horrible if you didn't do it absolutely right. And and early Nintendo did it right. I remember because I didn't finish it, but I do remember Ocarina of Time, and I do remember playing it and saying, "Hey, this is actually pretty cool." Because it's in 3D environment, it feels very smooth. It kind of reminded me a lot of Mario 64, which was one of the better translations from a 2D platform to a 3D platform. And it just felt right. Where there's a lot of other 3D platforming games at the time were just horrible. Oh yeah, it was just horrible. It was just like
awful games.
You think about it now in the rose-colored glasses of nostalgia. But if you go back and try to play, it's like, oh god, this is pretty bad.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I played the crap out of Gran Turismo. I can't go back.
Oh yeah,
like there are some, and what's funny is there are some games that even through the nostalgia glasses. When I go back to them, it's like these are still pretty fun. Like Road Rash for the Sega Genesis, and I was actually going through a bunch of Sega games earlier this week. I was playing, what's that? Urban Chaos, the Apache attack helicopter one. That's a great game, and for a 16-bit era game, those graphics are phenomenal, and they look great. But no, but like I said, that early 3D era, man, there are some hard misses there.
I remember loving Grand Theft Auto 3, even up to even San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, loving that game. But then going back and playing it now is just like, oof, there's still some real rough edges around there that the latest advancements of these game engines have just smoothed over to make just real polished. But for some reason there's some that just hold up to the scrutiny of time, and this is probably one of them.
Let's see, when was this game released?
Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time was 1998, I want to say.
Okay.
But to give you an idea of the Ocarina of Time, and the graphics, like I said, they're not great today, but because of the non-realistic style, because they went with more of an animated style graphic, it does hold up very, very well. There are games that do not hold up well, and even if you look over on the PC side of things, there are games that are just god-awful. Look at Turok. The original Turok Dinosaur Hunter.
I never got through Turok, but yes, I do know what you mean.
Well, the fog of war is like 6 feet in front of your face.
Oh yeah. There's so much. Yeah.
There's so much fog. It's like it's not. Yeah, the render distance is awful for a 3D game. There are people shooting at you before the fog materializes to show who they are. There's King's Quest: Mask of Eternity, which I actually liked that game, even though it was a terrible King's Quest game.
I do remember that game. That one had a terrible fog distance too, if I remember.
Oh yeah, terrible draw distance on that game. And it was fully voice acted and actually had animations with it too. But the polygon count was even sad for the day it was in. Like your main character, I think he has like 25 triangles. And he's a full person.
Well, yeah.
One of them is the face.
I think that was one of the games that they were still trying to develop for all the different platforms at the time. So even though the PC had...
No, it was only PC.
Was it only PC?
Yep. Yeah, Mask of Eternity was only PC.
I thought they were gonna maybe they were thinking, maybe I was reading that they were going to do like a let me see.
But anyway,
that's right.
AGDQ did a great. They actually had a Mask of Eternity run this year. So if you want to see how awful the game is, and how awfully it's aged, go watch that AGDQ. But yeah, no, like I was saying, I really hope that they release the 3DS version of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask with the enhanced graphics at 1080p, because everyone goes, no, give me the original. That, my childhood. Look, your childhood sucked. I'm sorry to tell you. Number one, like, get used to that. Number two, the original two games played at 20 FPS. When they went to the 3DS, they played at 60 FPS. And the physics are tied to the frame rate.
Right.
So, would you rather play at 20 FPS or have better graphics and 60 FPS? I think I'd go with the latter.
Yeah, I would too.
And who doesn't want to see their favorite game remastered? There's constant threads about, we need a remaster of this. And it's like, no, come up with new ideas. Dang it.
Yeah. I mean, there's always the nostalgia thing that people get excited about. And a lot of people just crank out, emulated, or I wouldn't say re-emulated, but reskinned versions of the old one, which is exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get people who are doing a complete reboot, like with the new Final Fantasy VII, where they're reimagining the whole game. Which I haven't played that. I didn't hear great things about it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But
yep,
I don't know.
Christopher chimes in with a $5 donation. Thank you, Christopher. I sincerely appreciate it. A $500 investment in Doge at the end of 2020 would have given you 166,666 Doge, worth over $100,000 right now. Yeah. Yeah, I knew it was high. I didn't think it was that high. But yeah, math doesn't lie.
It's not quite at it's a little over 50 cents right now. I think it's like 63 cents right now.
Yeah.
I think is what it's at.
Yeah. A game that actually deserves a remaster, Legend of the Dragoon. How about Final Fantasy VI, for God's sakes? You've given Final Fantasy IV an entire 3D remake on every single platform.
It's hard to say because that's a 2D sprite game.
Yeah, but
I did love that game.
They fully reimagined Final Fantasy IV in 3D graphics.
They did.
And it's with voice acting and everything, and it's great.
Yeah.
Why doesn't Final Fantasy VI get the same love and treatment?
I think because there's too much content to that. I mean, it was a very big sprawling game.
Very big game.
Yeah. So I think revamping that whole thing is a huge undertaking. But I did love that game.
Final Fantasy VIII Remaster was crap too. Redo that.
Shit, yeah.
Remaster.
I remember loving Final Fantasy VII when it came out, and then being so disappointed in Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah, I played 7. I played 8. 8 was the last Final Fantasy I played all the way through.
Me too. That was the last one I played too. I was so disappointed since I never went back.
I went, if this is what they've got, I'm out.
Yeah. No.
And nothing that they've done has really enticed me back either. And that's sad because I loved 2 through 8.
Well,
but
it could be
2 and 3 are the best. Are the best in the series, period.
It could be a mix of that, and it could also be a mix of, by the time Final Fantasy VIII came out, I mean, I don't want to age myself again, but that's when I started really taking establishing myself as my own household seriously. Work got in the way, stuff like that.
I wasn't quite there yet.
Final Fantasy games take a lot of time. They take a lot of time to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that, you can play an hour or two a day and maybe get through it in about a month or whatever.
Yeah.
But the grind on that thing is just, there's just too much sometimes. So
I still grind through once a year Final Fantasy 2 and Final Fantasy 3.
Those aren't. You mean 2 US or 2
US and 3 US?
Okay, yeah.
So 4 and 6.
I went back and did 2 when it came out for the remastered of the Game Boy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as much of a grind as I remember. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think I remember playing it because I was flying over to Florida, so I had a long flight.
Yeah.
And I played that the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
And then I played it all the way back.
Yeah.
And then all it took was like a couple more hours back home, and I was done with it.
Yeah. What's really funny is when we first played those games, they were like 40-hour games. And the reason they were, no, they legitimately were, because they have timers on them. So whenever you save your game time too, and deaths don't count. So I distinctly remember seeing like 35 and 40 hours on some of my gameplay files, and I go back and play it now, and I'm beating the game at like 9 hours. Yeah, and I know speedrunner wise, that's still like incredibly slow. You can do that game in like 3.5. Right, but anymore, I'm grinding through it, and I'm getting every character unlocked, and I'm getting I'm maxing my characters out. What they didn't do back when these games were new was hold your hand and tell you where to go. And so a good chunk of my playtime
was exploring,
was
and
finding like where's the next place I need to be.
Right. Yeah.
Because
that's true. That's true.
There's a point in Final Fantasy 2 and Final Fantasy 3 where they go, "You got this.
Just do whatever you want to do." Yeah.
Not helping
before the term open world was a thing.
Oh god.
They did open world, yeah.
Yeah, and think of all of the towns that you had to explore until you talked to the right person to get the right trigger event to progress your story. And then you move into Final Fantasy 6 and you have 3 stories going on at the same time. Yeah. With multiple parties. Like crap gets complicated quick.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah. It gets to a crescendo about halfway, and then you're right. Your party splits up, and then it gets even more complicated, and then it comes back together.
And then the world explodes, and one of your main characters jumps off a cliff,
and then come to find out there's ways to save that person, and you're like, well,
I wish I knew that at the time.
I know.
I cried over Celeste. Are you kidding me? I cried like a baby the day I watched that.
Well, I think if it was either Celeste or Shadow that will die, depending on the choices that you make.
No. So Shadow can die if you leave him to die right before the world goes to ruin, right before the world explodes. If you don't wait for your timer to expire, Shadow dies on the floating island.
Right.
You have to wait until it's like 10 seconds left, and finally he walks around the corner and jumps on the ship, and then you can leave.
Right. Yeah.
But if you don't wait, you leave him behind. Yeah. And you have to live with that guilt. Once you figure out you can save it. This right after the world explodes, you're Celeste and you're on an island, and it's a year later, and you find out that Cid has been taking care of you for a year by like fishing and feeding you and whatnot. And you wake up and you're like, "Where's everyone at?" And he's like, "I don't know. For all I know, we're the last 2 people alive." Yeah. And it's just you and Cid. And Cid is deathly sick by the time you wake up out of your coma. And your job is to feed Cid while he is trying to recover. But it's RNG based on, will you get enough fish to feed Cid? And so it's RNG based on whether or not Cid lives or dies, and then based on whether or not Celeste commits suicide by jumping off the cliff. Yeah. It's not up to you.
Yeah, it's not up to you. Yeah. I know Shadow was up to you, but
yeah, I do remember Shadow was kind of up to you, but they didn't tell you it was up to you. And then Celeste is completely up to chance.
Yeah.
And so you either had like a really happy childhood, like, okay, there's hope, there's redemption here, or you watched one character die, and then his basically daughter like go, there's nothing worth living for anymore, and jump to death.
Yeah, good subject matter for kids to learn. Yes,
that was a great subject in my early teens.
Oh yeah. Well, that was the same thing with Final Fantasy VII, but I mean that the Ares character just dies no matter what. I mean, there's nothing you can do to save her. That always happened.
Yep. Speaking of old games that are getting remasters, one game is getting a very unofficial remaster.
Very unofficial. But impressive.
But very impressive. And I can't wait to give this a try. I have downloaded the alpha. I'm going to compile it and give it a shot. But the alpha that I downloaded and the alpha they're releasing right now is not the alpha with all the improved textures on it. It's just the alpha with the ray tracing on it. We are talking, of course, about Mario 64.
Yes.
What other game deserves ray tracing more? Am I right?
Oh, yeah. Of course.
So... yeah, Super Mario 64 is getting ray tracing on the unofficial PC decompilation of the game. So for those who don't know, sometime last year, the Mario 64 source code was leaked. Coders were able to decompile it and give you a source version of Mario 64 running natively on a PC. And it runs flawlessly on like anything. And if you haven't tried it, it's great. If you haven't tried Mario 64 with true widescreen support, it's freaking incredible. But because they have the source, they can start tweaking things to their own want and whim. The original Mario 64 doesn't actually include any individual objects or sprites or anything like that. It includes vertex intersections and then bases the texture placement around that, which means ray tracing it is kind of difficult. And so what a very intrepid set of modders has done is gone through and basically allocated those vertexes and narrowed them down level by level and pixel by pixel into 3D models that the game can then read from. They texture those and tell ray tracing what those textures and colors are. And then ray tracing can handle the rest now that they have color and texture and depth and all that kind of data. Which means you get fully reflective features, you get water that looks like water, you get all these other things, all because we have source access to Nintendo 64. Mario 64.
I don't know. I'm guessing you probably did. You watch the Digital Foundry video on that today? That was that's I watched the exact same thing too, and it's actually quite fascinating.
God, it looks good.
It looks really good. I mean, you go walk up to the doors to the castle, and
the knobs are fully reflective.
The knobs are really reflective. Like Mario, you can see Mario reflected through the doorknobs. I'm like, that's cool. And the only thing that kind of like was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Was okay, they have objects and they're ray traced. So ray traced, your shadows are being cast based on the sunlight position. But some parts of the game physically put shadows to help the player know where to jump up.
One of the transitions from 2D gaming to 3D gaming was knowing where the player is at in 3D space, and the way they did that is every object in the game casts a shadow directly below it. And so
you know where to jump to hit a block.
Exactly.
So you would have in certain cases a block that has two shadows. One is where you want to stand to jump and hit it, and the other is the ray traced shadow. Ray traced shadow. So it's a little wonky in that aspect, but I mean that's not a bad sacrifice for the beauty you get from actual ray tracing in Mario 64.
And it really does look good, especially with the increased polygons in Mario and a lot of the different characters. I mean, you see dire docks right here, and the water effect along with the floating electrical orb that's above it. You can see light reflecting off the bottom platform up to Mario. Mario's properly shaded. Like, oh, it's good. Oh, it's good.
You get the global illumination, so you're walking on grass.
I need depth.
There's a little bit of green underneath you. And it's
I need
great.
depth of field though. I need a little background blur, and then it's perfect.
That wouldn't be too bad.
Just a touch. We're at F11 right now. Give me F5.6. That's what I want.
They're still working on that. They're still tweaking it. It still might come, but from what I saw, from what I watched, I didn't watch the full video. I think I watched like maybe 3/4 of it.
That's about what I did.
Before I had to go back to work, but it was very impressive. I was like super stoked to try it.
So I downloaded it. I'm gonna compile it, and I'll give you a copy. That way, only one of us is culpable.
Well, I don't know. Because I don't have an RTX card.
You don't have an RTX card.
I still regret selling my 2070.
But
I didn't know.
You did it for the dream of a 3000 series card.
Exactly.
I can't fault you.
I know.
If you need to borrow an RTX card,
that's fine. That's okay. It's okay.
I have two 2060s. Now, I can't sell either one of them because one of them is the 2060 KO based on the TU104 die, which is the RTX 2080 die, which has more tensor and more RT cores. But I have an RTX 2060 you could borrow if you want to try some
for the purpose of playing this Mario. I wouldn't mind that. That's pretty enticing for me, actually.
So I'm now opening the Fort George Magnetic Fields IPA.
Oh, I'm interested to hear. Actually, did I have magnet? I'm going to look this up.
which they don't specify is an IPA. It just says, it just says India Pale Ale. They don't specify as a hazy.
Right.
But oh man,
look,
this one is
definitely
hazy.
a hazy.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna look this thing up. Magnetic fields. And Untapped survey says I have not had that one yet. But it is, wow, it is an average of 4.20.
It is.
That's gotta be delicious.
It's really, really good, but you gotta get a hot burn. It's still a hazy.
Yeah.
It's after 4 to 6 ounces, it's like every other hazy you've ever had.
Some it depends on the hazy.
And that's the problem, is it's so good, but only this much at a time.
Yeah.
And then you're done. And that's what I don't like about hazies.
Well, I think hazies are kind of in the category of like your big pastry stouts.
Mm-hmm.
Best shared with like.
You say that, but I'll do a full bomber of any pastry stout.
No, I will too. Not that it's good for you to do that.
Right.
But
2,000 calories in a dark alcoholic bottle.
Oh man, dude, this is where I got this. So, so this is.
What did you take that bottle from your wife?
No. Let me circle back. So, Edgefield is a McMinimans. They do a lot of good beers here in the Pacific Northwest. And I don't know if you've ever had this before, but one of my new favorites that they have put out year after year since I think 2016, I think was the first year they put it out, was their longest night of the year.
Yes.
It's their barley wine.
I tried that with you.
Yes, it's delicious.
Yeah.
It's not as good as I would say as Mother of All Storms.
Right.
But it's pretty close.
But it's really good.
It's really close. And it's
like, isn't it like 10.5 or 11%?
This one was 13.
13, okay. Yeah.
Yes. So they had it on tap over there. They had the port barrel version on tap.
Yeah, see, we had it on tap last time you and I went to McMinimans.
Yes.
Which was like 3 years ago.
That was a long time ago, yeah. But
it's been 84 years.
Usually they serve it in tulips, like 8-ounce tulips.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the COVID restrictions, they weren't giving out glasses. And I said, well, everybody in my party wants some of this. So we had four of them.
Mm-hmm.
So can I get 4 of these? And they gave it to us in their plastic pint glasses.
Yeah.
So I got a pint of this 13%. And that's kind of what did me in.
Wow.
And it was delicious. Oh my God, it was delicious. But there's a reason why we shouldn't be drinking a whole pint of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's like drinking a pint of schnapps. It's like very, very high ABV.
I can't even tell there's alcohol in this.
Yeah, I was like, let's keep going. No, it was super good, especially with a nice cigar. Man, it was so good.
Oh.
That's what Edgefield's great for.
I'm uber jealous.
You go out there, you get a nice cigar, you get a nice port, big thick barley wine, sit out by the campfire and just smoke it and drink. Oh man, it was great.
Yep.
It was wonderful. All right, I'm gonna finish this one. I'm gonna start on my last one.
Awesome.
I think we're actually done, right?
We are done with news for the day. So, what do you guys want to talk about? The floor is open. If you have any questions, comments,
we got like about 10 minutes left. So
yeah, 10 usually 20 minutes. Yeah, we usually go about 10 minutes over. So
yeah, that's fine. The
floor is yours, ladies and gentlemen.
This one's good. I'm gonna do another. That one's got a little bit of dark beer on the bottom, so I'm gonna do. I do have some Star Wars themed glasses because, well, we're one day off from May the 4th.
Well, we're Revenge of the 5th today, so you're fine.
Or Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, Revenge of the 5th.
It's supposed to be Revenge of the 6th. That's not what is it supposed to be. We do the 4th be with you.
Yeah, May the 4th be
then we
with
take
you.
a break. We take a break for Cinco de Mayo and eat some tacos.
Okay, so you're Revenge of the 6th.
Yeah, we're Revenge.
I kind of like that better. Yeah.
Yeah.
That way we're not crapping over Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, you don't want to crap over Cinco de Mayo.
Right.
Come on.
So this is a video I've been working on today. A very, very generous viewer saw my Sun F80 cache disk review and said, hey, do you want to take a look at some more kind of different cache disks? And I said, sure. This one's 2.6 terabytes.
Whoa, 2.6 terabytes? That's going to be your new cache disk?
Uh-huh.
Nice. For what? Just your home lab?
Games and stuff.
What,
no. Yeah, for the home lab. Yeah, I'll put it to use in the home lab. He sent over also 2 1.3 terabyte cache disks, and then some older ones which are 320s. He sent over a super interesting one also, which is it's a flash disk from all the way back in 2008. And you might go, who cares about an SSD from 2008? Back in 2008, SSDs were not the triple layer NAND that we know today that had a total endurance of 2 petabytes written or something like that, 1.4. It wasn't a multi-level cell, which is what the enterprise SSDs are today. It was single-level cell. It was the only thing they could make.
Right.
Which means this 160 gigabyte SSD, which still does 900 megabytes per second read and 750 megabytes per second write,
still, yes.
and insanely fast random times, tying modern SSDs for random lookups today, has a 75 petabyte write endurance.
Whoa. This is for Skull because
and by the way, there's only been 100 gigs written to it its entire life.
It's aggressively relaxed Imperial IPA by drink everybody's beer. Just so Skull can log it.
Will I be getting a newly released iMac? No, because I didn't really see a point in buying one to review because it's the same chip with a better screen. It's the same chip as I have in my laptop with a 4.5K display. I'm not a Mac channel. I like Macs. I like Mac things. When they work well and when they fulfill a need that I have in my tool set. But they're not something that I have to review for viewership. In fact, buying the iMac would probably not pay for itself. And so I have to look at that aspect of things. Whereas reviewing an eBay server actually does pay for itself. And so it's kind of this weird dichotomy that I have of finding things that people will be interested in that that are worth spending the money on to review, because Apple's not going to send me one.
We have a super chat.
Yep. Andrew, $5 donation. Thank you, Sir Andrew. Crying about having to start saving for retirement this month. I would have had a dual CPU 2011 V3 board right now. Yeah. Did I mention I left my 13-year career to make videos for you all? Yeah, my retirement's
sucks, man.
My retirement's been stagnant for a year.
Well, did you buy some Dogecoin?
Totally should have.
No.
Totally should have.
Yeah.
At the time, it didn't sound smart though.
No, I agree. It was a meme coin.
Yeah.
It was a meme coin. Who wants to buy meme coin?
Yeah. I was there at the inception when they started making Dogecoin.
I do remember.
It was a joke on Reddit.
It was a joke on Reddit. It absolutely was a joke on Reddit. Everybody laughed.
Yep.
Everybody laughed. I'm rich now.
Right. Chris, $2 donation. Thank you, Chris. How's the Nissan Frontier doing? Still going strong? Still going very strong. Love my Nissan Frontier. It's a 2013 Nissan Frontier with, I just rolled it over 80,000 miles this last month. For those keeping track, that means since the day I retired, I've only done 3,000 miles on the truck.
That was my wife's favorite truck. We bought a Nissan Frontier when it first came out, the very first model. We bought one. Mm-hmm. She drove that thing to the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, we drove that thing to the ground. She loved her Frontier.
Yep. I specifically sought out this particular model of Frontier. Mine is the Frontier Pro 4X with a 6-speed manual. So mine is man, if you want a 4-wheel drive, rear locking diff, and a manual transmission, mine is the truck to get right now. Outside of the Tacoma, and nothing terrible against the Tacoma, but when I was shopping for trucks, I didn't want to buy brand new because I had a certain budget. My budget was about $25,000, and I could either buy a brand new Tacoma, fully spec'd out the way I wanted it, for about $42,000, or I could buy a Chevy Colorado and get a diesel with an 8-speed automatic, not in a manual, obviously, but 4-wheel drive, locking diff, and everything else for about $41,000. Or I could buy a brand new Frontier for about $35,000. Then I started looking on the used market. I don't mind buying a 3-year-old used car, 40,000 miles, well maintained. That's fine. And whatnot. So I could buy a Tacoma for $38,000. I could buy a Colorado for literally same price as new for a used diesel, if they even had them. Or I could buy a Nissan Frontier for, I think I paid $23,500.
That's not bad.
So I saved $17,000 over a brand new Tacoma by buying my Frontier when it was 3 years old. And I freaking love the car. It's great. Yeah.
Frontiers are fun.
I've only had one problem with it ever, and that was actually when I was driving on the highway. I drove over a rather large rock, and the rock bounced up and managed to miss my rock guard shield, my shield underneath, and took out my rear body stability control, traction control, cruise control module. And so I was in cruise control at like 70 miles an hour at the time when I hit this rock. And it was raining, and I saw it way too late to be able to avoid it. So I just like kind of did that little anal pucker and
hope it
doesn't do too much and whatnot. Yeah. And as soon as I hit it, my cruise control went poof, and I'm like dropped my gear, and I went, what the heck? And so all of a sudden I'm doing 40 when I should have been doing 70, because the cruise didn't know what to do anymore, so it just stopped. All of a sudden my traction control, my body control, my four-wheel drive, like all my lights are flashing on my dash, and I'm, oh god. And yeah, what had happened is the front tire kicked it up and managed to skip my rock guard and perfectly take out my cruise control module. So that was $1,700.
Ouch. Well, still not that bad.
Yeah.
All things considered.
But all things considered, that's the only trouble I've ever had with the truck. And it's been
And it wasn't the fault of like wear and tear. It was like
that was a freak accident. Right.
Yeah, it was an accident. Yeah.
Yeah, I took it into the dealership, and they actually brought the module out to me and said, "How did you manage that?"
Yeah,
and I said, "I'm pretty sure it was a rock." They said, "Yeah, but you have the rock guards on it." I said, "I know. Shouldn't have happened, but it did."
Hey, 1 in a million, baby.
Yeah. So beyond that, I've had no problems with the truck. It's been fantastic. Well, it still needs a new clutch, but that's thanks to the old owner. So I bought it with 39,000 miles on it. I've done 41,000 of my own now. It still needs a new clutch, but that's because I can actually drive a clutch and the previous owner couldn't. So
apparently I'm getting a lot of chatter that there's I think it's a SpaceX satellite or something. There's some kind of satellite that's re-entering the orbit. It's making a big old streak across the sky in the Pacific Northwest here.
Yep. Yeah, I knew they successfully landed the prototype rocket earlier today. But what's going on now? I didn't think anything was going on now.
Well, I think I'm like, everybody's like, "Hey, what's this in the sky?"
Yeah, don't know.
What was it?
Experience regarding Seagate utility checking disk. I have no experience with the Seagate utility itself. In production, we didn't run very many Seagate drives at my last organization. We did have a couple of arrays of them. We had, in particular, one of our sites had, I think, 12 6 terabyte Seagate drives, and I upgraded the firmware on the drives a couple of times. They were the 6 terabyte enterprise SAS. But that's really the only use I've ever had out of the utility. So I don't know. I tend to rely on smart reporting for a lot of drive health status, run hours, bytes written, that kind of thing. That'll tell you a lot more about a drive's health than Seagate going, yeah, everything looks good, or not. So that's my opinion.
Apparently they're Starlink satellites being launched.
Oh.
So kind of tying in. So they're being launched, but we can't pirate off them.
Right. Yeah.
So what good are they?
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
It's because Jeff downloaded those ID4 discs and brought the aliens back.
That's what it is. Well, that's a good thing. We can still get Flash uploaded to them, so they'll crash back down. So that's cool. It's fine.
By the way, in the after party today, which you can take part of if you're in the Discord,
Yep.
join the Patreon or Float Plane to get access to said Discord server, and you can live video chat with me and Steve after the show.
Right.
Jeff
is probably gonna be playing the
I'm totally going to install those onto my
the whole
DOSBox
time
system.
while we're sitting there chatting. He's gonna play them.
I totally
Give
am.
us commentary throughout the whole thing.
And don't get me wrong, they're awful games.
Oh yeah, no,
They're
I'm sure they're
awful.
horrible. Yeah, I think there's a market. There could be a market. Like we have riff tracks and like Red Letter Media Best of the Worst and stuff like that, where they talk about horrible movies and horrible. We should have a stream for horrible games.
You know what? That
Like,
might make a great segment for a second channel.
Yeah, just like ripping on horrible games, playing games, ripping on how horrible they are, playing
one of my favorite television moments of all time was Daniel Tosh did a segment on Tosh.0 called Spoiler Alerts.
Yeah.
In which he did the same thing with terrible movies. And the best one ever, and you can still look this up on YouTube, or I guess it's streaming on Comedy Central now, is look up his spoiler alert for Tiptoes the movie.
Okay.
Do you know what the movie Tiptoes is?
I've never heard of Tiptoes the movie, actually. I don't it doesn't sound great.
Let me throw these out for you.
Hold on.
No, don't look it up. Just hear what I have to say.
I'm stopping.
Matthew McConaughey.
All right.
Kate Beckinsale.
Well, it doesn't sound too bad.
Like, Gary Oldman.
It just doesn't sound that bad.
Right, doesn't like there's Peter Dinklage.
All right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Like there's good actors there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, good actors doesn't mean anything if the script's like terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and the script is bad.
Okay.
And the trailer, it's great because it's Matthew McConaughey, Kate Beckinsale, and in the role of a lifetime, Gary Oldman. Verbatim.
He's had like 10 roles of a lifetime.
Right.
Gary Oldman has.
Right. Like think of a role that Gary Oldman is bad in. There's not one.
Maybe some of his earlier stuff. I don't know. It's kind of have to go back.
Even then, it's like there's not much.
Yeah.
Like if Gary Oldman's in it, it's probably a good movie.
And he probably doesn't. It's probably you have to look him up on. It's like who's that guy? He looks.
Oh no!
No,
Gary Oldman
That's
is
Gary Oldman. That's Gary Oldman.
Oh no! Gary Oldman is very much Gary Oldman in this movie.
Oh, okay.
But he's playing a little person.
But he's not a.
But he's not a little person. But he's playing a little person. And so
this is starting to sound familiar, actually. I think this is starting to sound familiar.
So at certain points, he's sitting on a couch, and you can totally tell his legs are going through the couch, and they have like some prosthetic little pointers sticking out in front of him, and his arms are just kind of like T-Rexed up, like he's sitting like this.
This is a little like Dwarf on Golf type stuff.
Yes,
going on.
Yeah. But look up the Tosh.0 spoiler alert for Tiptoes.
Okay.
It's 45 minutes long. It's almost as long as the damn movie is. And it's fantastic.
All right.
Suddenly he's a fireman for some reason, and
I have it queued up.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna watch it now.
Maybe we'll watch this in the after party. I think this could be a good laugh.
All right.
Maybe at 11 o'clock. So in an hour we'll start the Tiptoe spoiler alerts on the after party. I think that could be a fun crowd watch.
That'd be fun.
So, anyway, it is 5 past the hour of 10 o'clock, and this has been episode 182 of Talking Heads here on Craft Computing. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want to catch us on the replay, look us up on Anchor.fm or wherever your favorite podcasts are found for every single episode of Talking Heads about a day after we go live. What's my normal outro? I don't even remember.
Linode.com.
Yeah, visit linode.com/craftcomputing to get a $100 60-day credit for starting a new account. That's linode.com/craftcomputing. I sincerely appreciate it if you want to check that out to get your own home lab started. And thank you to Linode for sponsoring this episode of Talking Heads. What else we got? Make sure to like this one. Subscribe to Craft Computing if you haven't done so already. If you like the beer content, subscribe over to Hops and Brews. My friend John and usually Steve are on there.
Yep, I'm on there.
Lots of good stuff if you like the beer reviews. Join us every Wednesday night here at 8 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news. And as always, we'll see you in the next we'll see you next week. How's that?
Next week. Yeah, not me, but
someone
somebody.
else.
Yeah, someone else.
Someone will be here.
Probably John, but who cares?
Who cares about John? Good night, everyone.
All right, bye. Oh man, I have to